Good morning. Hope everybody is off to a great start for their day. Today we don't have Donna with us. I am so sorry. She's a little under the weather and she's got some things to do with her mom today. One of the wonderful things of being a caregiver. But that's the great part because we can make adaptations and do what we need to do. And I will still be with you today. The show goes on, so I hope that your beginning of your week is starting off absolutely amazing. And we are going to today in Steve Harvey's new book, Act Like a Success, Think Like a Success. We are jumping into Chapter 2. Chapter 2 we have today Fear and Failure, which we can imagine could probably end up being a pretty good conversation today. So let's dive right in. Fear and Failure. During one of my early appearances on Bishop T.D. Jakes' talk show, I made a bold proclamation: I am the most fearless person you will ever meet. I don't know what made me say it because I had never said something like that before in my life. I figured that the bishop and his team really liked what I had to say because they used that soundbite in the video promos advertising my appearance on the show. But here's the real deal. I am afraid a lot. I was afraid to pursue my talk show because I thought it might not work out. I was afraid to do syndicated radio because I didn't know if I would be accepted in enough markets to be successful. I was afraid to take on the Kings of Comedy Hour when Walter Latham came to us and said, we are going to be playing in basketball arenas. I was scared. The largest crowd I had ever performed in front of at that point was 5,000 people, and that was on a good night. When I interviewed President Obama, I was terrified because I didn't want to blow it. Before I did Bishop Jakes' Mega Fest, I tossed and turned for 3 nights in a row. My biggest moment of fear came when I did my first 1-hour HBO special. I had never been more afraid of anything in my entire career. The Bell Auditorium in Augusta, Georgia was completely sold out, and I was positioned backstage behind a sheer curtain waiting for the show to start. My heart was beating so hard that I could literally see the locket square in my suit rising and falling. If you look closely at the footage from that special, you can even see my hands glistening with sweat. Something went wrong with the timing for opening up the main curtains to begin the show, and I was anxious as I waited behind the curtain for a good 6 to 7 minutes. But even though I was out of the audience's view, I could just feel their love saying, come on, Steve, don't let us down. When the curtain finally rose, the crowd went crazy. I grabbed the mic and just let it swing for a minute in order to collect my cool. When I finally started talking, I heard my voice begin to quiver. I just kept praying, Lord, please calm me down. Come on, Lord, this is my only HBO special. Please, God. And guess what? About 15 minutes into my set, all my nerves disappeared and I was hot as smoke. That set became one of my best specials to date. What I learned from that moment is that when you face your fears, they aren't as big as you thought they were. What makes them big is when you don't turn around to face them head on. You avoid your fears, the bigger they grow in your mind. As I stood behind that malfunctioning curtain, I kept thinking, Lord Jesus, look at all those people. The longer I stood there, the more I realized that I could keep worrying about the 2,400 people in the room and fail, or I could just go and actually win. It really comes down to just deciding whether you want to win or lose. And it's pretty neat. I just want to stop for a second and share something with you, because he talks about not being sure that he would be accepted, out there, and with his radio syndication and everything else. And I have to tell you, yesterday I had called to do things with my DirecTV account. I wanted to kind of change around some of my settings and add channels and that kind of thing. And the lady that I was talking to yesterday on there, it was funny because we got to talking about Steve Harvey. We got to talking about the reading that I was doing, and how I told her how much I admired him and loved watching his show. And it was funny because she turned around then and she said that every morning on her way into work, that's what she does. She actually listens to his radio broadcast every morning. So it's sorry, I just had to share that, because I mean, you different things that you think, or you feel you're not going to get there, or you feel you're not going to do it, and or you're not going to be accepted, and then look at what an amazing following he's got. I mean, I know I admire his work. I admire his comedy, his personality, the humor, the whole bit. So the radio show is absolutely amazing. This new life class that he's doing with Oprah, I absolutely love watching the two of them together. So, I was really excited to be diving into this book and going through the different things. So let's go on to the next part of chapter 2. Failure is part of the process. Most people fail because they become paralyzed by their fear. You have to choose. Am I going to face my fears and go see what my life can really be? Or am I going to succumb to my fears and do exactly what I've always done? When you go with the latter, you set yourself up for failure. Yet again, because you didn't even attempt to win, how many times do we allow ourselves to avoid getting things done in our lives simply because we fear what we think the outcome is going to be? I have taught myself just to go try something if there is even a remote possibility of something great happening for my life and my career. You have to learn to convince yourself that the possibility is greater than the inevitability of doing nothing. Listen, if you are an entrepreneur who is passionate about your product, but you never ask anyone to buy what you are selling, it will never be sold. Sure, there's a possibility that you can deliver your best sales pitch in your best Sunday suit and they will say no, but so what? Do you know how many times I've been told no for movie scripts, television shows, and comedy specials? A whole hell of a lot more times than I heard yes. You know how many jokes I've written that nobody has laughed at? Thousands. I have had a whole cemetery full of dead jokes with tombstones standing above them. But in all seriousness, I took those bad jokes out of my act and I learned how to get good at my craft. There are many jokes that I wish I had never written, and there are some that I have knocked out the park. But guess what? I now have 6 comedy specials with 8 hours of original A-list jokes, and in them I never repeated a single one. You want to hear something shocking? 85% of small businesses in this country fail within the first 2 years. 85%. That's a whole lot of failure. Warren Buffett said that he would not invest in any business where the owner hasn't failed at least twice. I love that. Truly wealthy, successful people understand that failure is part of the process. But far too often, when we face the failure of a business venture, we let that failure paralyze us from trying again. The failure could stem from a lack of financial planning, a lack of resources, or the lack of right team members. But you have to realize that failure is part of the process when you are on the road to success. The only way to get back on track is to come up with another plan. I've failed more times than I can count, but you can't let the failure freeze you in place and stop you from pursuing your dreams. Wow, so powerful and always said. I mean, and we run with groups of leaders from all different aspects, all different areas of marketing and everything, and you always hear this. And when you surround yourself with those like-minded people and the top people, I mean, I've followed Warren Buffett for years. I have followed Frank Kern, and I mean, just so many different marketers that are out there, or entrepreneurs that have been running their businesses and their lives, and they will all tell you that they've gone through failure. Some of these big box stores that you find out when you're doing the research that they started off as, little mom and pop, or they, started off doing something totally different. And it's pretty interesting to see the guy that owns Hobby Lobby. He's interesting to read about, because he started off, he loved working in five and dimes, and that's how his dream came about. And, it wasn't an instant overnight success. He worked at it, trial and error, no different than different people. Anthony Robbins, I mean, you look at it, he's one of the best ones to ever watch his motivation and videos. And same thing, he got up, he kept going, he kept doing, he found out, he listened and plugged into audio all the time. I love doing that too. I love, between reading the books on my Kindle, I also love the podcasts, and I am a big one for Audible. Audible, I have the app actually on my Kindle so that I can listen to the audiobooks, and I also have the app on my phone, because I love the fact that with Audible, I can plug them in. It's mindset. It actually even helps me go to sleep. And then you turn around and you're plugging good into your brain and positive into your brain as you're going to do it before you fall asleep. And then you wake up, feeling much better because you didn't plug any negative in before you went to sleep. So I absolutely love this. And tomorrow we will continue with Chapter 2, because I'm going to, keep these short and sweet, because I know everybody's got other things to do throughout their day. So I think if we keep these in little tidbits and keep sharing and everything, and I think today's, great takeaway is the fact that don't be afraid of the failure, no matter what. At least try. If you fail, don't think of it as failing, because it's just your next step to go towards something else. I mean, you never know what kind of tweak you can make, and all of a sudden you got it right. So continue to try. Dare to do things that you're afraid of. I mean, getting here on the camera every day, I made this commitment, and I will stick to it. Monday through Friday, I will be here at 9 a.m. unless something happens where I can, forewarn you ahead of time. Then I'll change the time or whatever, or we'll change the broadcast. But other than that, I mean, I've made this commitment. I'm sticking to this commitment, and I am happy to see you all, and I will be very excited to hear feedback and, and continue on this journey together. And I'd love to hear from everybody as we go through this book and what you feel and what you think and, what you're doing. So I hope you guys have an amazing day. If you did come in late and you missed part of it, the replay will air very shortly. That's one thing I do love about using the Google Hangout, because it processes right away, and the recording will be up and ready. So have an amazing day, and I will see you guys around on social media. Michelle Leaf here. Bye. Love ya.